Hello, second graders. Welcome to a new social study lesson. Please get your book ready and let's start exploring who we are. We are in chapter 4, and this is lesson number 5, last lesson for this chapter. How do countries work together? So, in this chapter, we'll be learning how countries working together, how information they can share, and how citizens can tell government leaders about their problem, and of course help to solve these problems. So if you go to your book, page 182 and 183, so this is what we see. This is a United Nations is made by of countries that work together to solve any problem. These problems could be wars in some countries, or hunger, or drought, that less water in other countries, or water, or countries that they have they need medical support and medical helps, and many other problems. All right. Working together in the world. Citizens work with the government in their community, state, and country to solve problems. And we saw that in a small community. When we have a problem, we go to our governments, we send letters, we take pictures, and we try to solve this problem. Or by joining any of the organizations that they do some help and support to each other. So, but now we're talking about problems that can be for other countries, other parts of the world. So what about problems around the world? There are even bigger problems to solve. The United Nations is a group of countries or nations around the world that work together to solve problems. The United Nations has some goals for the children around the world. These goals or things they hope to do include: all children should have a good education. There is no child should be very poor. Earth should be a clean place to live. So as we say, when they have these problems, which we learn how to solve problems in our country or community or state or town. But now when we look at wider and bigger space, like different countries, different continents, they have problems. So United Nations, a group of these countries that they meet together to spot and find the problems and try to solve it. So some of these problems, or the hopes and goals for the United Nations, that all problems related to children. So for example, all children should have good education. So all children should have space and place to go and get the right education. They shouldn't be very poor children, and also the cleanness of earth, or the world that we're living in. All right. Over here, look at the pictures. What do you think this next would be about, or this text would be about? This would be about people work together, and I can see their children here learning. So probably children have their rights. Over here, if I look at this picture, I see like dirt in an environment or a place or land that need to be clean. Let's see for the next page. What kind of world problem do you think countries could solve? Everyone on Earth has to share the same air. Pollution in the air hurts all of us. Many countries cooperate or work together to keep the air clean. Countries also talk about keeping the water clean. Dumping garbage into the ocean can affect the whole world, not just one country. Water pollution is bad for animals, plants, and people. Keeping the water clean will help health of the world. So this is some of the worldwide problems that all the world could get affected if it happened, like water pollution. Even if going to be in one of the country, they dump all their trash and garbage in the ocean, but of course that would be affect the whole life and people that are near this ocean, from animals, humans, plants. Of course, the air also, the air we breathe, if it's polluted, that means lots of people will be sick and lots of new diseases will be around us. All right, let's see what's next. Now, we have our graph and we need to have a problem and we look for the solutions. So problems and solution. A problem is something to be figured out. So when you figure out the problem, when you find the problem, the next step is find a solution, how to fix this problem, how to get rid of all the bad things that happen because of this problem. So over here, we have problem. The problem is pollution hurts Earth. So that's the problem. We need to look for two solutions. So we need to keep the air clean, as we say, and also when we say, we talked about the water or the ocean, to keep the ocean or the water clean. So let's write this down. I know the problem is pollutions, and we know that the pollution affects the world or the earth or hurts. So that what we do, we can keep the air clean so people can have good air and good health. And of course, we also talked about keeping the ocean or the water in general clean. So keep the water clean. All right. So you can always pause the video, take your time till you write your answer. All right, page 187. We're gonna read the passage and we're gonna try to find a problem, and we get 3 solutions for this problem. All right, so what we have to find the problem, and when we have to come up and find 3 details or 3 solutions for this problem. All right. All right, how do countries work together? Our global community. We are all citizens of the world. The world is made up of many different countries. Each has its own government. Some governments work like ours, and some are very different. The governments of the world often work together for the good of their people. Sometimes they sign treaties. A treaty is a written promise between 2 or more countries. It's like a promise, like a deal, a contract. They also make agreements to buy each other's goods or to protect the environment. Sometimes countries work to help each other after disasters like hurricanes or earthquakes. That's when we hear a lot that when things happen in different parts of the world, United States would be sending support, would be sending medical support or food or whatever they need for that disaster to support other parts of the world. Sometimes countries work to help each other after disaster like hurricanes or earthquakes. Countries send money, food, and water to help Sometimes they also send people to help clean up and rebuild. Everywhere in the world, life is better when we work together. And that's one of the examples that when we work together, of course, we have better environment and better way of life. The United Nations. The United Nations is a group of 193 nations or countries. It was formed in 1945 to bring peace and security to the world. Before the United Nations was formed, there were 2 world wars. People realized they had to find a better way to work and live together. Today, the United Nations works to try to solve big problems. It has a goal of education for everyone. It also helps nations cooperate to protect the environment. And this is the headquarters of the United Nations. Let's see. Primary source. Remember, we covered in the previous chapter, primary source and secondary source. So in their words, Kofi Annan, more than ever before in human history, we share a common destiny. We can master it only if we face it together. and that my friends is why we have the United Nations. So that's Kofi Annan, the Secretary General of United Nations. So he has a belief that when we face the problem together, we can solve this problem. Okay, let's look at one of the problems the United Nations worked to solve. The problem is polar bears only live in Canada, Greenland, Norway, the United States, and Russia. So these polar bears or these kind of animals live only in few places and parts of the world. Too many polar bears were hunted and killed each year. So that was a problem. What was the solution? In 1965, people from the 5 countries met about the problem. So people from 5 countries, Canada, Greenland, Norway, and the United States, and Russia, met together to find a solution for this problem. They made a list of ways to protect polar bear. In 1973, all 5 countries signed a law to protect the polar bears. So the most important, you need to find the solution, spot the problem first, and then try to work together to find solution. All right. Today, polar bears are endangered again. This time, their habitat is changing. The United Nations is working to find a solution once again. As we see, polar bears need protections like many other animals in the world or on our Earth. So, as we see, the United Nations, you find the problems, they work together, they live together to find a solution for this problem. And that's one of the most important things that people need to solve their problem, to bring peace and security to the world. So we need to help countries and work and cooperate together. All right. Let's go back to our book, page 187. Remember, we had problem and we have to find solution for this problem. So we have a problem and we have to find 3 solutions. So we can say, for example, we saw that the kind of problems we have that students choose, for example, that they have to have better education. So we can say this could be a problem. And the solution is that we work together with other countries. We can probably send more teachers or send materials. We can also provide with technology, and we can also provide with materials that we can build more schools. So we provide more schools or materials for these countries to build more schools. We can send teachers to teach the teacher for this country how to teach these curriculums. We can also provide materials such as laptops, books, and give workshop for the people who will be running these schools. And if that school we need to be built in a countryside or a village, so probably we could even solve problem of the roads or transportation, can provide a line of a metro or a train or some kind of help that the children can take the train or this kind of transportation to go to their schools. All right, so that support can be in different way. All right, let's see. All right. Choose a problem that you read about or think is important. Explain why it's important and write 1 or 2 possible solutions for this problem. So we can think of any problem, like, for example, if we think of pollution for the water pollution, or the ocean. So we can say, for example, this is a problem that we see, and we know in order to help to solve this problem, we have to make sure maintain the oceans clean. Maybe we have to add more signs around the beaches that make sure factories they don't dump their trash in the oceans. Put more signs that children and people know that when they go to the beach, they should not litter or leave their trash on the beaches. And maybe put fine if anyone break laws, probably put cameras around. So if people break these laws or these rules can pay punishment or can pay fine. So people get used to keep the place around them clean in order to save the environment, save the world, and also all the countries around have a better environment. We can also, by doing this, we're saving animals, we're saving plants, and human as well. All right. Okay, what steps do you think countries need to take to solve problem together? Use what we know about cooperation. So we know that they need to think of different ideas. They know that they need to sit and talk together. We know that they have to come up with ideas that are easy to be maintained by others. And we have to find the right solution and work together to make this solution an action. So we need to talk first. We need to think of different way and different ideas how to solve these problems. And then we need to find the right way or the right solution and work together to make this solution in action, like not just solutions, steps on paper, and then no one take an action and do this action or this solution. Okay, so that was it for our lesson for today, and that was a last lesson for our chapter 4. Thank you, second graders. Bye-bye.